Now we'll work on Chaturanga, Chaturanga Dandasana. This is a pose that is done a lot in passing, but it's one that's important that we understand so that we're really protecting our shoulders and not hanging into them or damaging them in any way. So let's just start on our hands and knees. If you don't have blocks, that's okay, but if you do, just bring 2 blocks near the top of your mat, and we'll set up in a hands and knees in a tabletop, and have your fingers a couple of inches behind the blocks, and your wrists are right underneath your shoulders. Your knees are a little ways back from your hips, okay? And then find that engagement of your shoulders into your shoulder socket. So I feel that plugging. I rotate my triceps in and feel really engaged. And then engage your core, get your lower ribs together. And we'll just do some practice Chaturanga here. So when you're coming into Chaturanga, we'll be bending our arms at a 90-degree angle. And your elbow will stay stacked over your wrist, and your shoulders will not go any lower than your elbows. So rock your heart forward so that as you bend to lower, your elbows stay over your wrists, and just come down and tap your shoulders to your blocks. So now my arms are at a 90-degree angle, okay? And I can kind of rest here but get a feeling of what the shape should be. And then come back up and come to a neutral spine. Okay, so in your Chaturanga, you'll keep your shoulders lifted. Oftentimes we'll sink down and let the elbows splay out. But your elbows will bend straight back, and your upper arms might even rub against your rib cage. Okay. So here we are in our table. Rock your heart forward, bend your elbows, and just bring your shoulders to your blocks. Come back up, and then neutral. Let's do that 2 more times. Rock forward, bend, elbows are over your wrists, bring your shoulders to your blocks, and then come back. Rock forward, bend, shoulders to blocks, up, and neutral. And you can push all the way back. Bhaktasana, devotional pose with your arms straight out. It's like a long child's pose. And rest your arms. And then come back up. Okay, move your blocks over to the side, but remember how that felt to have your shoulders stay about the same height as your elbows. And now we'll lower down into Chaturanga, but we'll keep that hovering. You got to knit your lower ribs in, and we'll do one with our knees down, and then you can decide if you want to try it with your knees up. So always rock your heart forward so those elbows stay stacked over your wrists. Lower down, then come back up and just find your neutral place. Okay. And now you can go from your table again, your long table, or you can bring yourself into a plank pose. So here in plank pose, my shoulders are over my wrists, and my tailbone's pointing down toward my heels. My lower ribs knit together. My core is really strong. My shoulders, hips, and heels are all in a line. Rock forward onto your tippy toes. Bend your elbows, and shoulders come level with the elbows, or a little bit higher. And then drop your knees. Push back into child's pose. Hips to heels. Take a few breaths to give your arms a rest. And we'll do one more. So you can choose whether you do this from plank or you have your knees down. So find your starting place. If you're in your plank, you're broad through your collarbones and on your back through your shoulder blades. Rock forward onto your tippy toes. Lower straight down. My upper arms are touching my rib cage. My Lower ribs knit together, and then lower all the way to your belly. But see, even as I lower all the way to my belly, my shoulders stay the same level as my elbows. Flatten your feet. Push yourself all the way back into a child's pose. And this time, you can bend your elbows and just clasp a nice little fist behind your neck to stretch out your triceps. And there you have a good tutorial on chaturanga. Four-limbed staff pose is what chaturanga means. Anyway, it's a pose that's done a lot without very much instruction. So make sure that you're honoring those shoulders and keeping everything engaged and drawing in towards your core, and you'll gain a lot of strength.